Lieutenant June stood at attention in the massive throne room of Velthara Prime, his human heart beating faster than he wanted to admit. The ceiling stretched so high above him that clouds actually formed near the top. Everything here was built for the Valyrians, who stood nearly 8 feet tall with their elegant crystalline skin that shimmered in shades of blue and silver. June, at a modest 6 feet, felt like a child in a world made for giants. Lieutenant June of Earth, the Imperial Chancellor announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. You have been selected for immediate transfer to the Royal Guard. You will serve as personal security to Princess Hana, 4th daughter of Emperor Theron. June tried to keep his face neutral, but inside his mind raced. He had only been part of the Imperial military for 2 years. Most Royal Guards served for decades before earning such an honor. This made no sense. Around him, he could see other Valyrian officers watching with expressions he couldn't quite read. Some looked surprised. Others looked angry. The ceremony ended quickly. June was given new armor, deep blue with silver edges that marked him as royal property now. The metal felt strange against his skin, lighter than anything Earth made but somehow stronger. As he left the throne room, a tall Valyrian officer fell into step beside him. I am Captain Rin, the officer said. His voice was cold. I command Princess Hana's military detail. You report to me now. Yes, sir, June replied. I want you to understand something, human. Rin stopped walking and turned to face June directly. I do not trust your kind. You have been part of the Empire for barely 5 years. Your people still fight wars among yourselves over resources and territory. Primitive conflicts. His crystalline eyes narrowed. The only reason you are here is politics. Earth wants representation in the royal household. Nothing more. June felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice level. I will do my duty, Captain. See that you do. Rin walked away, leaving June alone in the massive corridor. The next morning, June met Princess Hana for the first time. She was in her private study, a room filled with star maps and tactical displays. Unlike other Valyrians June had met, her crystalline skin held hints of violet among the blue, marking her royal bloodline. She was reading something on a datapad and did not look up when he entered. Your Highness, June said, bowing as he had been taught. Lieutenant. Her voice was distant, almost bored. You will accompany me to all public functions. You will stay 3 paces behind and to my left. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not question my decisions. Is this clear? Yes, Your Highness. She finally looked at him then, and June felt something strange. Her eyes, deep purple like earth amethysts, seemed to study him with an intensity that went beyond a simple glance. But the moment passed quickly and she returned to her datapad. You are dismissed. Over the next week, June fell into his new routine. He followed Princess Hana through her daily schedule, always 3 paces behind and to her left. She attended council meetings where she debated military strategy with generals who had fought wars for centuries. She visited hospitals where wounded soldiers recovered. She reviewed deployment plans and supply chains. June began to realize that despite being the 4th daughter, Hana was deeply involved in the Empire's military operations. But she never spoke to him. Never acknowledged him beyond necessary orders. It was like being a shadow. The formal reception happened on his 8th day. The grand ballroom filled with nobility from across the Empire, their crystalline skin creating a rainbow of colors under the lights. Ambassadors from a dozen different species mingled and talked politics. June spotted Ambassador Sora, one of the few other humans present, but he could not leave his position to speak with her. Princess Hana moved through the crowd with practiced grace, speaking to generals and diplomats. June followed, watching everything, feeling useless. What was he protecting her from here? These were all allies, all. He saw it in the corner of his eye. A server moving wrong. The angle was off. The tray was wrong. June's combat training screamed danger. Time seemed to slow. The server's hand moved toward his jacket. June was already moving, his body reacting before his mind finished processing. He slammed into Princess Hana from the side, taking her to the ground as energy blasts tore through the space where she had been standing. The ballroom erupted into chaos. June rolled, putting himself between Hana and the attacker. More guards appeared, weapons drawn. The assassin managed to fire twice more before being cut down. One of those shots caught June in the shoulder, spinning him around. Pain exploded through his body, but he stayed on his feet. staying between the threat and the princess until he was certain it was over. Then the adrenaline faded, and June's legs gave out. He woke up in what had to be a medical bay. The pain in his shoulder was gone, replaced by a strange tingling sensation. Valerian medicine worked faster than anything on Earth. He tried to sit up and found Princess Hana sitting in a chair beside his bed. "Your Highness," he started to say, but she held up a hand. "Be still. The healer said you need rest." She was holding a medical device, checking his readings herself. "You saved my life, Lieutenant. It's my duty, Your Highness." Duty. She repeated the word softly, almost sadly. Then she did something that shocked him. She reached out and touched his uninjured hand, just for a moment. Her crystalline fingers were warm against his skin. "You were always meant to be here," she whispered. Before June could ask what she meant, the door opened and Captain Rin entered with several other officers. Princess Hana withdrew her hand immediately, her expression becoming cold and distant again. "The assassin was Krath," Rin reported. "We are investigating how he infiltrated the palace." "Good." Hana stood, smoothing her gown. She glanced at June once more, and he could have sworn he saw something in her eyes. Concern, relief, but then she was walking toward the door, every inch the untouchable princess again. "See that the lieutenant recovers quickly, Captain. I will need him." After she left, June lay back in the medical bed, his mind full of questions. Her words kept echoing in his head. "You were always meant to be here." What did that mean? And why had she been sitting beside his bed monitoring his recovery herself? Princesses did not do that for their guards. Something was happening here that he did not understand. But June had learned in his military career that mysteries usually revealed themselves eventually. He just needed to be patient and observant, though as he drifted back to sleep, one thought kept nagging at him. When she had touched his hand, she had not been wearing gloves. Valerians always wore gloves in formal settings. Always. Skin contact was considered deeply intimate in their culture. So why had she touched him? June returned to duty 3 days later, his shoulder completely healed. Valerian medical technology still amazed him. On Earth, he would have been recovering for weeks. Here, it was like the injury never happened, but something had changed. Princess Hana still maintained her cold, professional distance in public, but June started noticing small things. The way her eyes would find him in a room when she thought no one was watching, how she positioned herself during meetings so he was always in her line of sight. Little adjustments to her schedule that seemed designed to test him in subtle ways. During a visit to the military academy, she asked him to demonstrate human combat techniques to the cadets. During a diplomatic dinner, she requested his opinion on Earth security protocols. These were not normal requests for a bodyguard. One evening, Ambassador Sora found June in the palace gardens. The human diplomat was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Lieutenant," she said, sitting beside him on a stone bench, "you look confused." "Just thinking, Ambassador." "About why you were chosen for this position?" She smiled. "I wondered when you would start asking questions." June turned to face her. "What do you know?" Sora looked around to make sure they were alone. "I know that Princess Hana personally reviewed over 300 candidates for your position. She spent months evaluating files, watching training recordings, interviewing commanding officers. That is not normal, June. Royalty usually lets the Royal Guard select their own members. Why would she do that? That is the question, is it not?" Sora stood. "Be careful, Lieutenant. When powerful people take personal interest in us, it is rarely simple." That night, June could not sleep. He kept thinking about what the ambassador had said. 300 candidates. Months of evaluation, why? The answer started to come 2 weeks later, during a reception in the palace library. June was standing in his usual position when he noticed a data terminal left unlocked. It was displaying a file marked with his name. He knew he should not look, knew it was probably a test, but curiosity won. The file contained his complete military record, but not just from his time in the Imperial military. It went back 3 years to before Earth had joined the Empire. Training evaluations, mission reports, even psychological assessments. Someone had been tracking his career for a long time. At the bottom of the file was a note in Valerian script. June's translator implant rendered it into English. Candidate primary. Recommend immediate recruitment upon eligibility. The note was dated 3 years ago and signed with Princess Hana's personal seal. "Find something interesting, Lieutenant?" June spun around. Princess Hana stood behind him, her expression unreadable. "Your Highness, I apologize. I should not have. I left it unlocked deliberately." She moved closer and June realized they were alone in this section of the library. "You deserve to know the truth, or at least part of it. You have been tracking me for 3 years." "Yes." She did not sound ashamed. "Since before Earth joined the Empire. Since I first saw you. I do not understand." Hana was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke softly. 3 years ago, I visited Earth on a diplomatic mission. We were still negotiating the integration treaty. Part of my visit included observing your military capabilities. She gestured to a nearby chair and June sat. She remained standing, looking out a window at the palace gardens. There was a training exercise at a facility in Korea, a crisis simulation. The scenario was an orbital platform with failing life support, and civilians trapped in various sections. The trainees had to prioritize who to save based on available time and resources. June remembered that exercise. It had been brutal. Most of the trainees followed standard protocol, Hana continued. Save the most people possible except calculated losses. Cold mathematics, efficient. She turned to look at him. But you refused to accept the parameters. You found a solution no one else considered. You saved everyone. I just thought differently about the problem, June said. Exactly. There was something in her voice, an emotion June could not identify. You thought differently. You refused to accept that some lives were acceptable losses. You believed there had to be another way, and you found it. She sat down across from him. Do you know how rare that is, Lieutenant? In an empire that has existed for 10,000 years, where every strategy has been tested and refined, where efficiency is valued above all else. So you recruited me because I think differently? I recruited you because you showed me something I had never seen before. Hope, determination, a refusal to accept defeat even when all the data said you should. She looked away. The Empire is ancient and powerful, but we have become rigid. We follow protocols because they have worked for centuries. We accept calculated losses because the mathematics support it. We have forgotten how to believe in impossible solutions. June felt his heart beating faster. Your Highness, why are you telling me this? Because you deserve honesty. She stood. I brought you here deliberately, June. I manipulated events to ensure you would be assigned to my guard. I have been watching your career, guiding opportunities to you, making sure you would be ready when I needed you. Needed me for what? She did not answer. Instead, she walked to the door, then paused. I am sorry if you feel used. That was not my intention, but I chose you for reasons that go beyond simple duty. She looked back at him, and I do not regret that choice. Then she was gone, leaving June alone with more questions than answers. Over the following weeks, June tried to make sense of everything. He watched Princess Hana more carefully now, seeing things he had missed before. The way she fought in council meetings for policies that valued individual lives over statistical efficiency. How she always looked for alternatives to standard military doctrine. She was not just different from other Valyrian nobility. She was actively trying to change how the Empire thought. And somehow he was part of that plan. Captain Rin cornered June one afternoon in the training halls. I know what you are thinking, human, Rin said. You think the princess values you, that you are special somehow. Captain, you are the 7th guard assigned to this position in the last 2 years. Rin's voice was cold. All the others resigned or requested transfer. Do you want to know why? June said nothing. Because Princess Hana was searching for something specific. Each guard failed to meet her expectations in some way. She has been testing people, looking for someone who fit whatever criteria she had in mind. Rin stepped closer. You are not special, Lieutenant. You are simply the latest candidate in her experiment. After Rin left, June sat alone in the training hall thinking. 7 guards in 2 years, all dismissed or transferred. What had Hana been looking for? And more importantly, what happened when he inevitably failed to meet her expectations too? That evening, June found himself walking through the palace gardens again. The alien plants glowed softly in the darkness, responding to movement. He heard footsteps and turned to find Princess Hana approaching. Cannot sleep? She asked. Too many thoughts, Your Highness. She sat on a bench and gestured for him to join her. For a while they sat in silence, watching the glowing plants sway in the gentle wind. "Captain Rin spoke to you," she said finally. "Yes." "He told you about the other guards?" "Yes." "He is right, you know. I was searching for something specific. Each of them was talented, skilled, professional, but they were not what I needed." "And what do you need?" June asked. She turned to face him, and in the soft glow of the garden her violet eyes seemed to shine. "Someone who believes impossible things can become possible. Someone who refuses to accept defeat. Someone who sees the universe not as it is, but as it could be." "Why?" "Because change is coming, June. War is coming. And when it arrives, the Empire will need people who can think beyond our ancient protocols and rigid strategies." She stood. "I have been preparing for this for 3 years. And I needed someone at my side who could help me show the Empire a different way forward." She started to walk away, then stopped. "I chose you, June. Not because of politics or duty. I chose you because you are exactly what I need. What the Empire needs, even if they do not know it yet." June watched her disappear into the palace, his mind racing. War was coming. She had been preparing for 3 years. And somehow he was central to her plans. He just hoped he could live up to whatever faith she had placed in him. The attack came without warning on a quiet morning when the twin suns of Velthara Prime were just rising above the horizon. June was walking 3 paces behind Princess Hana through the palace corridors when the first explosion shook the walls. Ancient stone cracked. Lights flickered and died. Somewhere in the distance, alarms began screaming. Hana stopped walking. For just a moment, June saw fear flash across her face. Then it was gone, replaced by cold calculation. "The Krath," she said quietly. "They are here." Another explosion, closer this time. The floor beneath them tilted, and June grabbed Hana's arm to steady her. Through the windows, he could see enemy ships descending through the atmosphere, their weapons tearing through the palace shields. "We need to reach the command center," Hana said. She was already moving, and June noticed she was not heading toward the main corridors where the rest of the royal family would be evacuating. "Your Highness, the evacuation route is compromised," she finished. "The Krath did not attack randomly. They knew our protocols. This was planned." She turned down a narrow servants' corridor. "I know another way, but we need to move quickly." They ran through passages June had never seen before. The palace was huge, built over thousands of years, with layers and sections that most people never entered. Hana navigated them like she had memorized every turn. Behind them, June could hear the sounds of combat growing closer. Energy weapons, screams. The enemy was inside the palace. A blast tore through the wall ahead of them, and suddenly they were facing 3 Krath soldiers. The aliens were insectoid, with black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons were already trained on Princess Hana. June did not think. He threw himself forward, tackling Hana to the ground as energy blasts scorched the air above them. He rolled, pulling his sidearm, and fired 3 times. The Krath were tough, but their armor had weak points. 2 went down. The third charged. Close combat with a Krath was suicide. They were faster and stronger than humans, but June had learned in the military that strength meant nothing if you could not land a hit. He ducked under the alien strike, used its momentum against it, and sent it crashing into the wall. A quick shot to the back of its head finished the job. "Are you hurt?" June asked, helping Hana to her feet. "No. You?" "I am fine. We need to keep moving." They ran deeper into the palace, but the path Hana had planned was blocked by collapsed ceiling. Fire burned in several rooms, and the air was thick with smoke. They could hear Krath soldiers searching nearby. "This way," Hana whispered, leading him into what looked like an old storage area. She closed the door quietly behind them and engaged a lock that looked ancient. "This room is not on modern maps. We should be safe for a moment." They stood in the darkness, both breathing hard. Outside, they could hear the Krath moving past, searching for survivors. "They are hunting the royal family," Hana said softly. "This is not just an attack. This is an assassination attempt. They will not find us here." "June." Her voice was different now, vulnerable in a way he had never heard before. "I need to tell you something. If we do not survive this, we will survive. Listen to me." She grabbed his arm, and in the dim emergency lighting he could see tears in her eyes. "I am terrified. Not of dying. I am a soldier. I have accepted that death might come for me. But I am terrified of losing you." June stared at her. "Your Highness, I do not understand." "I know." She laughed, but it sounded broken. "How could you?" "I have kept you at a distance, maintained every protocol, treated you like just another guard. But that was a lie, June. Everything was a lie. What are you saying? She took a breath. 3 years ago, when I saw you on Earth during that training exercise, something happened that I cannot explain. You were just a soldier among thousands, but I could not stop watching you. The way you thought. The way you refused to give up. The absolute certainty in your eyes that there had to be a better answer. She turned away. I told myself it was strategic interest, that I needed someone like you for my plans, but that was not the whole truth. Hana. It was the first time he had used her name without the title, and they both noticed. I chose you. She continued. Not because the Empire needed you. Because I needed you. I brought you here. Manipulated events, made sure you would be assigned to me. And I told myself it was for the war I knew was coming. But the real reason? She looked at him. The real reason is that you represent everything I believe the Empire could be. Everything I want us to become. Courage without cruelty. Strength without arrogance. The belief that every life matters, not just the mathematically significant ones. An explosion shook the room. They could hear the Krath getting closer. We need to move, June said. We can talk about this later. There might not be a later. Then we make sure there is. He moved to the door, checked the corridor. It was clear for now. Which way to the command center? Hana wiped her eyes and became the tactical princess again. Follow me. They moved through the palace like ghosts, avoiding Krath patrols and fighting only when necessary. June was amazed by how well they worked together. Hana would spot threats using her knowledge of the palace layout. June would neutralize them using tactics the Krath did not expect. She thought in strategy. He thought in improvisation. Together they were effective, but the journey was brutal. The palace was burning. Bodies of guards and servants lay in the corridors. The Krath were systematic, killing everyone they found. This was not just an attack on the royal family. This was genocide. They finally reached a section near the command center when they ran into a full Krath squad. 8 soldiers with heavy weapons. There was no way around them. No surprise attack possible. This was it. Stay behind me, June said, raising his weapon. No. Hana drew her own sidearm. We fight together. The battle was chaos. June used every trick he had learned, every tactic that had kept him alive through 2 years of fighting. He used the environment, turned the Krath's strength against them, made them fight in close quarters where their weapons were less effective. Hana fought beside him, her shots precise and calculated. She was not as skilled in combat as June, but she was smart and knew how to use her resources. They took down 6 of the 8 Krath soldiers, but June was hit in the leg. Pain exploded through his body and he went down hard. The last 2 Krath moved in for the kill. Hana stepped in front of June, firing until her weapon was empty. She hit one, wounded the other, but it was not enough. The remaining Krath raised its weapon, aimed at Hana. June grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor and threw it with everything he had. It was not a good weapon, but it distracted the Krath for just a second, long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Imperial guards poured into the corridor, cutting down the last Krath soldiers. General Tay, a human officer June recognized from his training days, rushed to them. Princess Hana, thank the stars you are alive. Lieutenant June? Tay looked at June's wounded leg. Get a medic here now. As medics worked on his leg, June watched Hana speak with General Tay. They were discussing the battle, analyzing what had happened. Even now, covered in dust and blood, she was thinking strategically. The attack is more extensive than we thought, Tay was saying. The Krath have invaded 4 major cities. They control orbit. This is not a raid, Your Highness. This is a full invasion. Hana's expression hardened. Then we need to reach the command center immediately. We need to coordinate our response. Your Highness, with respect, the Emperor has ordered all royal family members to evacuate to. I am not evacuating, General. Her voice was ice. I am going to the command center, and I am going to help plan our defense. That is not a request. Tay looked like he wanted to argue, but something in Hana's eyes stopped him. He nodded. As you command, Your Highness. They helped June to his feet. His leg was stabilized but still hurt. He tried not to limp as they made their way to the command center. Beside him, Hana walked with absolute confidence, but June noticed she kept glancing at him, checking that he was still there, still alive. Her words from earlier kept echoing in his mind. I am terrified of losing you. The war had come just as she predicted. And now June understood that whatever happened next, they would face it together. The command center was controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed the Krath invasion across Velthara Prime. Red markers indicated enemy positions. Blue markers showed Imperial forces, far too few and scattered. Officers shouted orders. Communication systems crackled with reports from the front lines. The news was all bad. Emperor Theron stood at the center of it all, a massive Valerian whose crystalline skin had darkened to almost black with stress. He was arguing with his military advisors. The fleet is scattered across 3 systems, Admiral Quan was saying. We cannot recall them in time to defend the capital. We need to evacuate the royal family and regroup. If we lose Velthara Prime, we lose the war, another general argued. The Krath will control the heart of the Empire. Better to lose a planet than the entire royal bloodline. Enough! The Emperor's voice cut through the arguments. Then he saw Hana entering the command center. Daughter, you should be evacuating. With respect, Father, I have a better idea. Hana moved to the tactical display, and June noticed every officer in the room watching her, some with respect, others with barely hidden contempt, a princess playing at being a military strategist. The Krath have studied our tactics for centuries, Hana continued. They know how we fight. They know we value our fleet above all else, that we rely on superior firepower and coordinated assault. That is why they scattered our ships before attacking. They removed our primary advantage. We are aware of the situation, Your Highness, Captain Rin said coldly. But without the fleet, we cannot mount an effective counterattack. Not using traditional tactics, no. Hana touched the display, highlighting the Krath command ship in orbit. But what if we do not fight traditionally? The room went quiet. Emperor Theron leaned forward. Explain. The Krath command structure is centralized. Every ship, every ground unit reports to that command vessel. It coordinates their entire invasion. If we disable it, their forces become uncoordinated, vulnerable. The command ship is surrounded by their fleet, Admiral Quan pointed out. We cannot get close enough to attack it directly. Not with ships, Hana agreed, but with a small strike team inserted covertly using human infiltration tactics. The room erupted in arguments. Several generals dismissed the idea immediately. Others called it suicide. June watched Hana stand calmly in the storm of criticism, waiting for them to finish. General Tai spoke up. Human special forces have successfully used similar tactics against superior enemies. During the Earth integration wars, we disabled fortified positions that conventional forces could not touch. It is possible. Possible for terrorists and insurgents, Captain Rin snapped. Not for a proper military operation. We do not sneak around like thieves, General. We fight with honor. And we are losing, Hana said quietly. The room went silent. Your honor is admirable, Captain. But honor does not save lives when the enemy is slaughtering our people in the streets. I am proposing a tactical strike using unconventional methods. Methods the Krath will not expect because they have studied our traditional tactics but not humanity's. Emperor Theron studied his daughter for a long moment. You propose to lead this strike yourself. No, Father. I propose that Lieutenant June leads it. Every eye in the room turned to June. He felt his throat go dry. Hana continued speaking. Lieutenant June has training in exactly this type of operation. He thinks in ways that confuse our enemies. He finds solutions where we see only impossible odds. She looked directly at her father. I trust him with this mission. I trust him with our lives. Captain Rin stepped forward. Your Highness, forgive me, but your judgment is compromised. Your attachment to this human guard is well known. You cannot— My attachment? Hana's voice went cold. You think I am advocating for this plan because of personal feelings? Let me be very clear, Captain. I have been planning for this war for 3 years. 3 years of studying Krath tactics. 3 years of analyzing their strengths and weaknesses. 3 years of preparing for the day they would strike. She pulled up a data file on the display. This is intelligence I have been gathering since I visited Earth. Reports on human military effectiveness against superior forces. Analysis of unconventional tactics. Success rates of small unit operations compared to fleet actions. She looked around the room. I did not bring Lieutenant June here because I like him. I brought him here because I knew we would need someone who could do the impossible when traditional methods failed. The room was silent. Emperor Theron studied the data his daughter had presented. And if this strike team fails? He asked. Then we are no worse off than we are now, Hana replied. The Krath already control orbit. Our fleet cannot reach us in time. Traditional defense will fail. This is our best chance, our only chance, General Tay corrected. Emperor Theron looked at June. Lieutenant, can you do this? June's mind raced. What Hana was proposing was insane. A small team against an entire enemy fleet. The odds were impossible. But he thought about that training exercise 3 years ago, when everyone said saving all the civilians was impossible. He had found a way then. Yes, Your Majesty. I can do this, and then you have my authorization. Assemble your team. You have 4 hours to prepare. The Emperor turned to his advisors. We will coordinate ground defenses to support this operation. Captain Rin, you will provide whatever resources Lieutenant June requires. Rin looked like he had swallowed something bitter, but he nodded. The meeting broke up quickly. Officers scattered to their duties. June found himself surrounded by human soldiers from General Tay's command. Volunteers for a mission everyone knew was probably suicide. As he briefed them on the plan, he noticed Hana speaking quietly with her father in a corner of the room. 3 hours later, June stood in the hangar bay, checking his equipment one last time. The plan was simple in concept, brutally difficult in execution. They would use a captured Krath shuttle to approach the command ship, pretending to be returning from a ground assault. Once aboard, they would fight their way to the reactor core and overload it. The explosion would cripple the ship and throw the entire Krath invasion into chaos. Simple, impossible, but the only option they had. Lieutenant. June turned to find Hana approaching. She was wearing combat armor now, light and flexible. Your Highness, you should be in the secure bunker with... I am coming with you. Absolutely not. This mission is too dangerous, I know. That is why I am coming. She gestured to her armor. I am qualified in combat operations. I can handle myself. And you need someone who knows Krath ship layouts. I studied them extensively. Your father will never allow it. My father gave me the authority to oversee this operation as I see fit. I am overseeing it personally. She met his eyes. Do not try to stop me, June. You will not win this argument. June wanted to protest, wanted to order her to stay behind, but he saw the determination in her eyes. This was not a princess giving commands. This was a soldier volunteering for a dangerous mission. Fine, but you follow my orders on the ship. No arguments. Agreed. They boarded the shuttle with the strike team. 12 humans and Hana. 13 people against an enemy fleet. As the shuttle lifted off, June looked at each member of his team. They were all volunteers. They all knew the odds. And they were all ready. General Tay's voice came over the comm. Godspeed, Lieutenant. Bring our princess home safe. That is the plan, sir. The approach was tense. The Krath shuttle's identification codes worked perfectly. They slipped past the enemy fleet, heading straight for the command ship. June could see it growing larger in the viewport. A massive vessel bristling with weapons. They docked without incident. The Krath on the command ship were busy coordinating the ground invasion. No one questioned a single shuttle returning from combat. The hangar bay doors opened and they stepped into enemy territory. The fighting started immediately. The Krath realized too late they had been infiltrated. June's team moved through the ship like a storm, using tactics the Krath had never seen before. They split up, rejoined, created chaos and confusion. Human unpredictability against alien rigid planning. Hana fought beside June, her knowledge of ship layouts guiding them through the maze of corridors. She was right. She could handle herself in combat. But June noticed she kept putting herself in danger, taking risks a princess should never take. They fought their way deeper into the ship, getting closer to the reactor. But the Krath were adapting, sending more soldiers. The team was taking casualties. 4 humans down, then 6. The corridor ahead was blocked by heavy blast doors. We need to find another route, June said. There is no other route. Hana was studying her tactical display. The reactor is beyond those doors. We have to go through. They will be waiting for us on the other side. This is a trap. Hana looked at him and June saw something in her eyes that made his blood run cold. I know, she said softly. Then she moved before June could stop her, running toward the blast doors. Override code Delta 7. Royal Authority. Hana, no! The doors opened and she ran through alone. Enemy fire erupted from the other side. June screamed her name and followed. June burst through the blast doors into hell. The corridor beyond was filled with Krath soldiers, all firing at Princess Hana. She had taken cover behind a support pillar, returning fire. But she was pinned down, outnumbered. This was suicide. But June understood in that instant what she was doing. She was the bait. She was drawing every enemy soldier in the area to this position, creating the opening the team needed to reach the reactor. She planned to sacrifice herself. He was not going to let that happen. Change of plans, June shouted to his team. Suppressing fire. We go through them, not around them. The remaining soldiers opened fire with everything they had. June threw a smoke grenade, obscuring the Krath's vision. Then he was moving, using the chaos and confusion, doing exactly what the enemy would not expect. Instead of retreating, he charged forward. The Krath were trained for orderly combat, for enemies who followed predictable patterns. June was neither orderly nor predictable. He moved through their lines like a ghost, taking down soldiers before they understood what was happening. His team followed, creating a corridor of chaos through enemy positions. He reached Hana and grabbed her arm. Run, now! June, the plan changed, move! They ran together toward the reactor chamber, the team covering their retreat. The Krath tried to regroup, but the humans had created too much confusion. By the time the enemy understood what happened, June's team was inside the reactor chamber, sealing the blast doors behind them. The reactor was massive, a sphere of pure energy suspended in magnetic fields. Around it were control systems and safety mechanisms. June's technical specialist, a corporal named Minho, immediately started working. I can overload it, Minho said, his hands flying over the controls. But it will take 3 minutes, and when this goes, it will take the entire ship with it. We need an escape route. June looked at Hana. The shuttle we came in on? Destroyed. I saw it explode on our way in. She was checking her tactical display. But there are escape pods 2 corridors away. If we can reach them before the reactor goes critical. An explosion rocked the chamber. The blast doors were buckling. The Krath were trying to break through. 2 minutes. Minho shouted. June made a decision. Everyone to the escape pods now. I will hold them here. Lieutenant, you cannot. That is an order. June looked at his team. Get the princess to safety. That is the mission. Complete it. The soldiers hesitated, but they followed orders. They started moving toward the corridor that led to the escape pods. All except Hana. She stayed, her weapon raised. I am not leaving you, she said. Hana, please, no! Her voice broke. I brought you here. I manipulated your life, brought you to this palace, put you in danger. This is my fault, my plan, my responsibility. 1 minute. The blast doors were failing. The Krath would break through any second. June grabbed Hana's shoulders. Listen to me. You were right. About everything. About humans. About needing people who think differently. About finding impossible solutions, he smiled. So trust me to find one now. Get to the escape pod. I will be right behind you. You are lying, maybe. But you chose me because I do not accept defeat, remember? He pushed her toward the corridor. So do not give up on me now, go. She ran, tears streaming down her face. June turned to face the blast doors, weapon ready. This was it. This was how it ended. But Hana would live. The mission would succeed. That was enough. The blast doors exploded inward. Krath soldiers poured through. June opened fire, taking down the first wave. There were too many. He would not hold them for long. But he did not need long. Just a few more seconds, 30 seconds. Then he saw it. A vent shaft above the reactor chamber. Too small for a Valyrian, but a human might fit. Might. It was impossible, insane, but June had built a career on impossible and insane. He ran for the vent as energy blasts scorched the air around him. He jumped, caught the edge, pulled himself up. The shaft was tight, barely wide enough for his shoulders. He crawled forward desperately as the world exploded behind him. The reactor went critical. The blast wave caught June and sent him tumbling through the shaft like a leaf in a hurricane. Metal tore around him. Heat seared his armor. He felt ribs crack. But the explosion propelled him forward, through the vent system, out into space through a rupture in the hull. He was spinning in the void, the command ship breaking apart behind him. His armor's emergency systems activated, sealing him in a protective field that would last maybe 5 minutes before his oxygen ran out. He could see escape pods launching from the dying ship. Which one held Hana? His comm crackled. June? Joan, respond. Hana. His voice was weak. His ribs hurt when he breathed. I am here. Where? I cannot see you. I am in space. About 200 meters from the ship. Drifting. Hold on. I am coming for you. No time. My air will run out before— I said hold on. One of the escape pods changed course, moving toward him. It was a crazy maneuver, dangerous in the debris field from the exploding ship, but the pilot was skilled. The pod matched his velocity, opened its airlock, and mechanical arms reached out to grab him. He was pulled inside. Hands were on him, checking his injuries. And then Hana was there, her face above his, tears still falling. You reckless, impossible human, she said, but she was smiling. You actually found a way. Always do, June managed. Then the pain caught up with him and everything went dark. He woke up in a medical bay. Again. He seemed to be making a habit of this, but this time it was not the palace. He was on a ship, judging by the gentle vibration. The Imperial fleet had returned. The battle was over, and Hana was sitting beside his bed again, just like before. But this time she was not checking his medical readouts. She was just watching him, her hand holding his. The mission succeeded, she said when she saw he was awake. The Krath command ship was destroyed. Their invasion force lost coordination. Our fleet arrived and drove them off. Velthara Prime is safe. Good. June tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. His ribs were still healing. Be still. She helped him lie back down. You broke 3 ribs, suffered severe burns, and nearly died from oxygen deprivation. You need rest. How long was I out? 3 days. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Hana spoke, her voice soft. I need to tell you everything, the complete truth. June waited. 3 years ago, when I saw you on Earth, something happened that I cannot explain rationally. I watched you refuse to accept defeat in that training exercise. I saw you believe that impossible things could become possible. And I felt something I had never felt before. She looked down at their joined hands. I am royalty, June. My entire life is planned. Who I marry, which political alliances I form, which children I have to continue the bloodline. Everything is duty and obligation and strategy. She took a breath. But when I saw you, I realized I had never made a real choice in my life. Everything was decided for me. Except this. Except you. So you brought me here? Yes. I told myself it was strategy, that I needed someone who thought differently for the war I knew was coming. And that was true. But it was not the whole truth. She finally met his eyes. I brought you here because I chose you. Not for duty. Not for politics. I chose you because I wanted to. Because for the first time in my life I saw something I wanted and decided I would have it. Consequences be damned. June felt his heart beating faster. Hana, I know it was wrong. I manipulated your career. Engineered your assignment, took away your choice to make mine. I'm not proud of that, but I would do it again, because you are the only choice I have ever made that was truly mine. The title, June said. The thing you said in the artifact chamber. She smiled sadly. I chose you long before they assigned you. Yes, you were my guard and title only. In my heart, you were always something more. June thought about everything that had happened. The manipulation. The danger. The lies and half-truths. He should be angry. He should feel used. But instead, he thought about fighting beside her. Trusting her with his life. The way she had cried when she thought he would die. I need to tell you something too, he said. When you ran through those blast doors, when I thought the Krath would kill you, I realized something. I did not follow you because you are my princess or because it was my duty. I followed because the thought of losing you was unbearable. Her eyes widened. June, I do not know when it happened. Maybe during the invasion. Maybe before. But somewhere along the way I stopped seeing you as Princess Hana and started seeing you as just Hana. The woman who believes impossible things. The woman who fights for what she thinks is right. The woman who chose me, but I manipulated you. I took away your choice, maybe at first, but I am choosing now. I choose you too, Hana, not because of duty or obligation, not because you are a princess or because it is strategic. I choose you because I love you. She started crying again, but this time they were tears of joy. She leaned down and pressed her forehead against his, a gesture of deep intimacy in Valerian culture. What happens now? She whispered. I do not know. Your father probably has strong opinions about his daughter being involved with a human guard. Actually, he wants to speak with you, when you are recovered. That sounds ominous, she laughed. Perhaps. But I think you will be surprised. 2 days later, June stood before Emperor Theron in a private chamber. The massive Valyrian studied him for a long moment.